Hi, my name's Matt Gilchrist from the Addicted to Love video, and I'm looking forward to seeing the next second act.
Hi-ho, and welcome to Second Acts Podcast. F. Scott Fitzgerald once wrote, "There are no second acts in American lives, but there are on Second Acts Podcast." This is episode 5. I am your host, Sean Riley. Today's guest is Chris Oliver from the Waco Tribune-Herald News. 2 and 2, be right back at you.
Hey y'all, Jen and Lindsay here from the Corpus Delicti podcast, here to tell you to check out our show.
If true crime's your thing, it's ours too. Just a little dash of lightheartedness and a hint of Southern charm.
Serial killers, controversial cases, historical hallmarks, we've got it all.
So just join us every Tuesday on iTunes, Podbean, or many other podcast apps as we dive into compelling cases and crack them open for you.
You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. That's CORPUSDELICTI.
See you Tuesday.
We all remember the fun conversations we used to have at the lunch table. Sometimes they were pretty deep.
Where there's a lot of things we learned about how to use the internet safely, how to use our voice intelligently. These were not lessons that we were ever taught as kids.
And most times they really weren't.
I could forgive a woman for thinking a pinky up the butt was something you might want, and you can correct that, and you can still have a good night. Cocks and asses are a fact of life.
Really? Me and Matt are both B cups. I wouldn't be surprised.
Dude, I wasn't comparing titty size, okay?
I wouldn't be surprised if anyone thought we were the same guy.
This is No But Seriously. You can find us on Google Play and iTunes.
Welcome back to the podcast. Chris Oliver, videographer and editor for the Waco Tribune-Herald News. Thanks for rejoining us again this week, Chris.
Thanks for having me.
I guess we should explain to the listeners what's going on this week. Ran into an episode of some spectacularly bad luck. Our interview for October 24th, Keith Rogers, the man behind Break Machine, the music group, has gone MIA. Not sure what happened to him. Didn't show for our interview, and from what I can tell, hasn't been on social media since October the 9th. So, and then after that, the next interview, Jody Plauché, did make the interview, but after our interview, when I was putting together the audio for the November 1st episode, turned out that the audio was of extremely poor quality and unfortunately was not usable. So, here we are, October 31st, and I'm thinking that we're not going to have a show for November 1st. And then I remember we had Chris Oliver on our last show and gave him a call to see if he'd step in. And fortunately, on last minute's notice, he did step in. So really appreciate you stepping up, Chris.
Well, I was going to go out trick-or-treating, but you called, so I decided not to.
Well, sorry to put a damper on your holiday, but certainly glad you could join us here today on Second Acts.
No problem. Glad to do it.
So we were talking, and since we're in the mode of talking about guests that have appeared and not appeared on the show, who do you think have been some memorable guests on the show so far, and who do you think would be good choices for guests on the show in the future? Keeping in mind the show premise is that we usually pick people that have been notable for some particular reason in the past, whether it's music, sports, movies, TV. And we like those people who have kind of gone onto a different pathway.
Well, I really liked Matt Gilchrist. I was supposed to be on an interview, and I couldn't be. But she seemed very interesting, seemed very personable, pretty cool stories. So I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I probably will never live that one down. the technical difficulties we had that day when you weren't able to join us for the interview. But yeah, Mac was a great interview. She was a lot different than I thought she would be. I guess the proper British accent sort of scared me a little bit. Made me think that she was the kind of person who didn't suffer fools gladly. But was a very positive, cheerful, upbeat guest. Was a lot of fun to talk to. And I think I told you that probably my most intimidating guest, which was a surprise to me. I'm not sure what I was expecting, but director Joel M. Reed was probably the most intimidating with his New York accent, very gruff. And he tell these great 10, 15, 20-minute stories and go off on tangents and had a lot of pauses throughout the story. And if you weren't listening close enough, he'd wrap up the story. And if you weren't aware and thought it was another pause, he'd growl at you in his New York accent and scare you back to attention, ask you if you're still listening, still awake. So that was pretty interesting.
What are you doing out there?
It was more like
that.
Are you there? Hello? Are you still there?
Are you listening to my story?
Exactly. Are you listening?
Well, as a Yankee myself, and I know you are from the South, so sometimes there's there's definitely a difference in demeanor, and sometimes those things that are taken as more gruff or more in anger are actually just endearing. That's just how we talk. At least that's how my family talks. Like, they'll yell at you, but they mean well. It's you're not supposed to take offense.
Yeah, it's one of those fun New York stereotypes that I don't think anybody would be offended by. But it's actually more or less true. It seems to be, and he really lived up to that. But it was a lot of fun. He was a pretty cool guy.
So you had like Mac, who was this proper British, a proper British woman, and then you had Joel, who's from Brooklyn. So that's a good mix, people. Yeah.
So who do you think would be some good choices for future guests on Second Acts?
Oh God, that's tough to come up with the ones that have gone on to other things. And a lot of the names are like weird ones that maybe you haven't heard of in a while. Mainly the names I'd come up with, I don't know if they qualify, just people I hadn't popped up in a long time. Like I was just telling you today, like Phoebe Cates, like what happened to her? But I don't know if she's got on to anything else besides,
She's dead, unfortunately. So that's not going to work for us.
No, she's not.
So who's somebody else you can think of?
What about another person I had thought of, because I just saw her because she was on Hocus Pocus. But remember Thora Birch?
Yeah, she was in with American Beauty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, whatever happened to her?
I really can't recall what else she's been in since American Beauty.
I can't. Well, no, she was in that. Did you ever see that movie with
Ghost World?
That's the one.
She was good in that. That was a really good movie.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Yeah.
And that was it. Maybe she's making music now. I don't know.
I was getting scared for a second. I thought you were going to go with Kevin Spacey. And
No. Yeah, let's stay away from him.
Yeah, he's hot in the news right now.
He's about to disappear, probably.
One of the ones I've got on my list is Terrence Mann, and you probably don't know that name, but
yeah, I do.
You do.
Hold on.
I'll be very surprised.
Hold on. Let me think. Well, tell me who it is. Now I can't think.
All right, I'm gonna give you a hint. I think this was the character name, Johnny Steele.
Sure. What was it?
All right, I'm gonna give you hint number 2. Power of the Night.
I'm failing here.
Power of the Night. Streets Are Calling.
No, you got me.
No,
you win. What is it?
And I'm not positive. I'm not 100% positive that was his name in the film. But the film in question is, that was his name. It was Critters.
I never saw Critters.
How could you never have seen Critters?
Yeah, no, I don't know.
How could you walk by that box in the video store and not read Critters?
Well, I guess it looked like a Gremlins ripoff that I avoided.
There's no way.
Yeah, I didn't see Critters. Yeah, although I didn't realize. Well, I'm looking at it now. I didn't realize Dee Wallace was in it. Hey, there's one.
Yeah.
Get E.T.'s mom. What happened to her?
I would love to have Dee Wallace on the show.
Well, she was in outside of E.T. She was in Cujo, which was awesome.
Yeah, I think everybody.
Go ahead.
Remember we talked about Danny Aiello on the previous episode. Everybody kind of wanted him to be your father. I think Dee Wallace was that mother figure kind of person.
For most people. You're also going to be disgusted with me if I told you I've never seen The Howling.
What?
Yeah, no. You know what? I think I did, but I was so young I didn't remember it because, I probably shouldn't have been watching it at the age I was, but I don't really remember much that happened in it.
Me either, but The Howling is good stuff. You should check it out.
Yeah. Isn't that Joe Dante?
Yeah, I was going to say it was much, much darker than Gremlins, though.
Yeah. Although Gremlins, we could do a podcast on Gremlins. I still think Gremlins is an underrated. We could do that, underrated. Well, maybe it's not underrated anymore. I think it holds up very well.
Yeah, I mean, that was a blockbuster, so a lot of people have enjoyed the movie, but probably don't enjoy it on the critical scale, more for entertainment and kitsch value. But
yeah, well, what I liked is I think the special effects held up, and also I liked it because it was so. They would do little skits, they were funny. I don't know if movies would do that now because they'd stay with the plot. But back then they're like, hey, let's have a gremlin act like Humphrey Bogart or something like that.
Yeah,
so what was?
Did they have one that was kind of like George Burns?
Yeah. What was Critters like though?
It was sort of a B movie. Had a B movie quality to it, a low budget film, but it had some scares. Had a little bit of humor, but it had some really cool stuff in it. Some way better than they should have been special effects for the time. Aliens, these kind of featureless aliens morphing into humans, and one of them, the first thing he sees on Earth is a music video, so he morphs into Johnny Steele, the heavy metal rocker, and that's his image. And the other guy looks like a poor man's Michael Biehn. I'm not sure, from Terminator. I'm not really sure what what his setup was supposed to be like, but yeah, it's a fairly cool movie. I haven't watched it in a while though. But
Terrence Mann was just looking up on IMDb. He was in Sense8, which I haven't watched, but it's supposed to be pretty good.
Well, yeah, he's done some serious Broadway stuff, and that's the problem with old Terrence is that you think Terrence has only done Critters, but in reality he's a pretty serious working character actor and theater actor, and so he kind of is off the second act's radar, and I'm not even sure that he would want to do this podcast, but I'd love to have him on.
Yeah, that sounds like a good one. He's in a lot of looks like he's been in a lot of soap operas too.
He's kind of doing the Rick Springfield career route.
Well, there you go, Rick Springfield.
Well, he's in everything under the sun, and I don't think I think he wouldn't qualify for second acts. He's worked steadily over time, so yeah. But I tell you, one person who doesn't fit the second act's bill, who I would just have on the show anyway, and have to break the rules, would be Mickey Rourke. That's probably that's probably my all-time get. Seriously,
what? He almost did. If he hadn't have been in The Wrestler, he would fit because he did that. He was in movies, and then he did boxing.
Yeah.
So, although what's he been in lately?
He's been in quite a few things, and he's got some other things coming out. He was an Iron Man too.
Yeah, I knew that.
That's a pretty big role. But I followed his career early on, and I was chided for following his career because after a while he sort of became a caricature of himself. But then he had that career resurgence, and man, that was so cool because it totally just made my interest in him suddenly respectable. And then I was kind of the guy who kind of like knew what was going on before everyone else, showed up at the game. So,
well, he was thought to be like the Marlon Brando of his generation, though. I mean, he was supposed to be just like the best actor of all those young guys, and I guess I don't know. I remember reading something. He was just thought acting was too easy and lost interest in it, I guess.
Yeah, he came of age in the early '80s with some of the other really big, talented actors like Sean Penn. Trying to think of some of the other ones who were very raw.
Right.
Brought a certain energy up, like you said, a Brando-ish energy. They kind of practiced the method. They came from the Stella Adler School of Acting, the actor studio. But like you said, you could see that he started to phone in his performances and became sort of a caricature of himself. He was more or less Mickey Rourke on the screen and off. And
so, what's your favorite Mickey?
Kind of fell out of favor.
What's your favorite Mickey Rourke movie?
Oh, I've got a few. I probably would say maybe Johnny Handsome, Angel Heart, 9.5 Weeks would probably be my top three.
Pervert.
Barfly. Thanks.
I didn't. God, Angel Heart's one I wanted to see, and I had it on my Netflix list, and I never did. I never did see Angel Heart. That's another one I should be ashamed of.
Yeah, that's an intense movie. That's an Alan Parker film, and man,
doesn't that have De Niro as the devil?
Well, you're not supposed. That's a spoiler.
Okay. Well, anyway,
the movie only came out in '87, so it's not really cool to reveal that.
Sorry.
Yeah, and you're also forgetting that Mickey Rourke shares billing with Lisa Bonet.
Yeah, I didn't know that one. I remember that.
That wrecked her Cosby Show career. That role.
Well, you know what? I Bill Cosby's another one that I don't think has a leg to stand on now. Like, how dare Lisa Bonet not allow herself to be? Well, he didn't roofie. What did he do anyway? I don't think he has a moral ground there. But
I'm thinking that Bill Cosby might be within our grasp these days, but I don't know if it might be a little too soon.
If you land the Bill Cosby interview, you did something there.
This week, an exclusive on Second X.
What about
Bill
OJ?
Cosby.
What about OJ?
Okay, well, I think we're getting into some dangerous territory here.
Yeah, probably not. Probably, but.
So OJ, what's up for your second act? What do you have planned?
I think he's on his third or fourth by now.
Or who do you have planned?
I remember seeing Johnny Handsome, getting back to Mickey Rourke. And it was a pretty good movie, but I remember going to see it at the theater, and the friend I went with hated it. And it kind of ruined it for me, because I thought it was pretty good.
That's the great thing about being a Johnny Handsome fan, is that nobody likes it, but if you appreciate it, you are kind of in a small minority of people, of a particular film taste, and I think it's a great movie. I love it. I don't understand the hate for it. I think maybe the ending. People hated the ending because of what happened to the protagonist, but I think it's a very, very underrated movie.
Well, it's a film noir kind of movie, right?
Right.
And it's not going to end happy. Did you like Diner? Or
yeah, but he's got a smaller part in that movie, but he's got a very memorable scene in the movie. But it's part of an ensemble, so he kind of
stole the show a little, even though he wasn't. It's kind of shocking watching that movie that Steve Guttenberg's the lead. I mean, he wouldn't of all those actors in the movie.
Barry Levinson was like, "This guy right here, this Guttenberg's going to be big time. This guy's going to be big time."
But that movie was pretty good, yeah.
That's a good one. I'm not a super fan of Diner or anything, but it's a quality film for sure.
Oh, there's a good one. What about Barry Levinson?
Yeah, I think he's still.
I remember. Is he still doing stuff? Because I remember in the '80s, it seemed like he was like the big director. He was up there with everybody, and then it's kind of revealed. Oh wait, no, he makes crap movies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's doing some things, but maybe on a slightly smaller scale. But I'd have to believe Barry Levinson's still working.
He just seemed like it was toys. After he made toys, he just like fell off the cliff.
Yeah. I think it was several. He had some really big tentpole movies that didn't do so well.
Yeah.
He kind of fell out of favor.
Yeah. I was just, I don't know. I think something was on. Maybe it was, Rain Man or something.
Yeah, he did Rain Man. He also did Sleepers, which pretty much founded Billy Crudup's career, and maybe one other one I'm not sure offhand.
Oh, yeah, he did Sleepers. That's right. He did, let's see, Good Morning Vietnam. He was kind of on a run there in the 80s because he did Diner and The Natural. And, he did these things, and then it just... I guess he's still working, though.
Hey everybody, I'm Adam from the Boys at Large podcast.
And I'm Calder. If you listen to our podcast, you can relax and listen to two boys having a fun time.
You can find us at Boys at Large on YouTube, Google Play, SoundCloud, and Anchor.
And you can contact us on Instagram and Facebook at Boys at Large. Hope to diddle your ear holes all night long.
Thanks everybody. Enjoy the show.
But enough about me. I hear you have some big news on your side of the country in Waco, Texas.
Do I? Me personally?
Yeah, didn't you make a big purchase recently?
Oh, yeah. Well, not a big purchase, but I was able to land the Super Nintendo Classic that everybody's trying to grab.
Okay, hold on. Is it a Nintendo Classic or a Super Nintendo Classic?
Super Nintendo Classic.
Well, when was the Super Nintendo ever a classic?
Oh, dissing the Super Nintendo.
No, seriously, wouldn't it be the original NES? Wouldn't that be the
well,
classic?
that one you can't get. that one's not. They made that one last year, and they apparently didn't think it was going to be a big deal, and everybody was clamoring for it. And I tried getting one. You can't get one. The Super Nintendo one, they've made more of, and that's still a tough one to get.
Well, wouldn't that, going back to the whole classic thing, wouldn't that be kind of like saying, "Hey man, I got Coca-Cola Classic, also got New Coke Classic."
Okay, you're dissing the Super Nintendo a little bit.
I'm not. I'm just saying that the classic moniker doesn't make sense for that system.
Yeah, I guess so. I think they just use that as like meaning old, revisiting.
Antique-y.
Did you play much of the Super Nintendo, or did you mainly play the original Nintendo?
All right. Well, now see, I'm at a disadvantage because I prepared to talk about the regular Nintendo, and I didn't have
about that.
Well, I might have you if you name some games. I could probably have some memories.
Super Mario World.
I think I played that, but that probably would be getting close to the extent that, and maybe American Gladiators.
Yeah. Although actually, yeah, my memories are more with the first Nintendo than the Super Nintendo.
Well, did you at least any games that might have been ported from the regular NES to the Super? Are there any games like that?
No.
Oh. What games come with the Super Nintendo Classic?
Well, Super Mario World.
Mm-hmm, of course.
Did you ever play Metroid?
Yeah, that's the regular NES.
But the Super Metroid.
This is classic Super Metroid.
That's what actually I've been playing the most. Then they have like their Legend of Zelda, Link to the Past, which I never played. I never played it. I liked Castlevania.
Is it a port of the original?
Yeah.
Well, there you go. I mean, there's some regular NES classic games on there.
Although, yeah, I wish I had gotten. I guess they're gonna resell them next year again. But the Nintendo Classic, because it had a lot more games on it. It had games like the 3 Super Marios. It had Tecmo Bowl, which I played the hell out of Tecmo Bowl.
Yeah.
I had a ton of games, and I can't even think of them now. But
well, actually, you mentioned one that I was kind of interested in talking about, Castlevania. The first one was so good, but it suffered from the classic. We can't make long games, so we'll just make really hard games.
Yeah,
and mostly we'll make them really hard by giving you one life.
That's right. Like that, it's hard to get used to that again. In these kind of games, is that like now games like you die, they just put you right back where you are.
Oh yeah, you can continue forever, unlimited lives.
But back then it was like, man, you one hit kills and the Super Nintendo has Contra.
Oh yeah.
This is like, but I played that. I lasted 20 seconds. All 3 of my lives are dead in 20 seconds.
Well, all these games you're mentioning are NES classic games, but
these are also
me,
super ones. They're also, I think they made
Super Contra.
Yeah.
Okay. So the old password for Contra didn't work.
I didn't try it. Yeah, it might work. I didn't try it. The up, down, left, right.
Left, right, BA, start.
BA, start. I don't know if it works in the Super Nintendo. You had to do it. I remember having Contra. You had to do that, or you never.
Well, yeah,
make it.
of course.
But yeah, that's when you had short games, but impossible games.
Well, I remember watching my brother play for hours trying to get through the last level of Castlevania, and to this day I still don't know what happens at the end because he never got past the last level. But did you ever play Castlevania 2?
Yeah.
What was that? That was a horrid sequel, wasn't it?
Yeah.
What was the deal with that?
I don't know. It didn't. I had to it didn't make a lot of sense. I guess it suffered from bad translations from Japanese. A lot of the things just didn't make any sense. They'd tell you to do, and it was just poor translations. But you had to cheat to win that game. Like I had to get help to get that one.
As day gives way to dusk.
Yeah. Like, oh, what a terrible night for a curse.
Exactly. Oh, that was dreaded seeing that on the screen.
Yeah. And that was another one, though. Like, if you died, that's it. I think you got passwords on it, maybe. I can't remember.
Yeah. I think they didn't have, like, potions that you could get and restore your health and things like that. You could go in the church.
Yeah, you went to church, yeah.
Yeah.
But remember the games that you had to write down the password?
Yes, Mike Tyson's Punch-Out.
And you better write that password down, right? Like,
Doc didn't play. He gave it to you once, and that was it.
Yeah, you had to, you better be sure it's uppercase, lowercase, get it right. Like, is that a 1 or an I? Oh, no.
No. Well, and the O and the 0 issue.
Yeah. Is it an O or a 0? Oh, no.
Yeah, it was pretty hard.
If your mom threw away your passwords, you're screwed. You're starting over.
Your mom threw away your best passwords, Dad.
You got to fight for your right. But yeah, that was those were the days. Did you play Mike Tyson's Punch-Out?
I did, actually. It was funny. I was the first kid in the neighborhood to beat Mike Tyson. So once I figured out the trick, it wasn't that difficult. But I used to have to make house calls, so people didn't
like,
believe.
Sean, I can't beat Mike Tyson. Come over.
No, they just want to see it because none of the kids in the neighborhood could beat Mike Tyson, and so I'd have to make a trip because word spread around that I could pass. I could beat Mike Tyson in my neighborhood. So I would go. They would hear word and call for me, and we would journey to these houses in the neighborhood, and I would beat Mike Tyson in front of them to their amazement, and move on to
so their
house.
amazement. They were in awe. And
Yeah,
you left. You dropped the mic and you dropped the controller, just walked out.
Exactly.
See, the one I couldn't beat was Mr. Sandman. I think he came.
Yeah, he was like a second to last.
He was hard. I could not beat him, man.
I say second to last, but he was like 3 away. You had him. You had Super whatever. and then you had Mike Tyson.
You said like the Super Macho Man or something like that.
Yeah. Actually, Sandman wasn't too bad. He had some weird timing things going on, but that Super Macho Man, I actually played that game probably within the last few years, and he was the one who gave me fits. I could not beat him. I could beat everybody else, but I could not get past him again.
Yeah, I guess it just depends on how you played. Because for me it was the Sandman. I actually had to cheat. I got someone's code to get to Mike Tyson.
Oh man, not
and
cool.
I did beat Mike Tyson eventually, but I could never beat. I don't think I ever beat Mr. Sandman.
That's a hollow victory then.
It is, yeah. And I love the premise of that game is you play like a little 110-pound guy who can somehow fight your way up to fight 220 pounders. Yeah, because that happens.
Yeah, well, still waiting for the unrealistic part.
Yeah.
So what's like the best game you've ever played on the NES?
Let's see. Yeah, well, I was a huge Castlevania fan, so on the original NES. Yeah.
Or the worst game.
Oh, the worst ones, I can't even remember the names. I had some games like you just buy them. Like I remember some crappy game. I had this one space game. I don't even know what it was like. My mom was like, "I'll buy you a game," and like this was your one chance. And you go to the store and they didn't have anything, so I just picked out one. I don't even remember what it was called.
We're getting ready to leave. Grab something.
Yeah, it was impossible to play. I don't even remember what happened. You'd have to like go from planet to planet, and it was pointless. I'd never got anywhere in it. It was stupid. There's also some like track and field. Oh, I know it wasn't bad. It was like called Winter Games. It was terrible.
Whoa! Hold on. Winter Games. That goes back to Commodore 64. That game was awesome.
I didn't like it. Is it the one with like figure skating?
Yeah, the impossible figure skating.
Yeah, you always landed on your face.
And the impossible downhill skiing or whatever that was.
Yeah. It was hard, man.
Now that I think about it, that game was it was impossible even for the Commodore 64, but we played the heck out of it. I'm not sure why.
Back then you didn't care, man. You're just like, this is what I got.
Yeah.
But right now I'm playing Super Metroid. That's the game I decided to tackle. And again, it's like it was kind of designed to like there's shit in it that you can't figure out. Like it's meant to be played over and over till you just figure it out. But like because like you get lost in the mazes. Like you can't. Like today, games let you skip around. Like you just go to the map and like I'm going to skip to this point.
Right.
Not in this one. You got to go through everything. And like, oh, I got to go all the way over there. And you try something, it doesn't work. You got to go all the way back. And it's like, oh man.
I wasn't a big Metroid fan, but actually that reminds me. Speaking of impossible games to figure out, what about Metal Gear? You remember playing that?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did you make any headway on that game? Or
I think I did. Yeah, I think I beat that game.
Talk about how in an age of no internet, how did one get very far into Metal Gear at all?
I don't know. Come to think of it, I must have. I don't know. Yeah, there was some things in it that were like impossible. I think I must have had like a magazine or something that helped me through it.
Nintendo Power.
Maybe. Who knows? Yeah, I'm just thinking, like, how did you get through crap? I don't know how you did it. I remember speaking of Castlevania, because the thing on Castlevania I couldn't beat was the Grim Reaper. And I would call that stupid.
Wait, hold on. That was like level 1, wasn't it? Or was that the last level?
No, this is one of the last. This is towards the end.
Yeah, I think that's the one that the last level that we couldn't get past.
Like, you would call that stupid Nintendo hotline. They said, "Hey, for like $1 a minute, you can call us. We'll help you through."
Whoa, you actually called that?
Yeah, because I was desperate. Like, I stuck my mom with the bill, I guess. But like, they didn't help you for crap. I mean, they didn't tell you anything. It's like, yeah, you just got to hit him with the boomerang. Like, okay, thanks for the help.
Well, what kind of person staffs the Nintendo hotline? I'm kind of seeing like the Dell guy.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, dude.
Man. Yeah, that's so easy. I don't know. You can't even beat that.
Oh, that's kind of like the computer guy from SNL. Move.
Yeah. So anyway, they were no help. Don't ever call them.
I won't call that number. No.
Don't call the number now. I think they're still there. They're like 50 years old. We're waiting.
Like the Maytag man.
Yeah.
You know what were the worst? Were the movie spinoff NES games? Were there any that were actually decent?
Well, there had to be a good Star Wars game, didn't there? That was like the only one. There would be good Star Wars games now and then. That's about it. All the rest were pretty crappy.
Well, most of them seemed like they were, they had been born other games that were in the trash heap, and they're like,
just pull that out.
Back to the Future just came out. Just slap that name on it, and you'd be like doing something completely that had nothing to do with the storyline, but it would be Back to the Future.
Yeah, I think even then I need to stay away from movie tie-ins. It's bad.
Yeah, those never worked.
Idea. They never work out.
Did you play any that you remember?
Not that I can think of offhand.
I'm going to name a few that were particularly bad, and you can tell me if you played them. Jaws.
No.
Man, that's horrid.
That was on the Nintendo?
Yeah. You were a scuba diver, and you had to go around and collect conch shells.
Just like the movie.
Hence Jaws.
Yeah. I remember that in the movie. Yeah, they were going to do that.
The Impossible Top Gun.
Oh, I played Top Gun. Okay.
Good luck landing on that air carrier, right?
That freaking game. I kind of liked it, I guess. But yeah, the landing in the aircraft carrier was just a crapshoot.
Good luck refilling in the air, buddy.
Yep. And then it would just leave. You're like, nope, too bad. And then you just died. That was it.
Oh, what? You couldn't refuel in that 0.5 second time allotment
We're
you had?
leaving, Maverick. You're on your own.
Yeah. Cougars back to number 1.
I think did I beat that game? I think I finally did after I don't know. It was one that I just forgot about and then picked it up again. But yeah, landing didn't make any sense.
Yeah. Well, you're a better man than I am. What about Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Did you ever play that?
Nah, I never played that.
That was like intensely complex. What about Commando?
Oh, yeah. Wait.
That one wasn't so bad. That was actually a pretty decent.
Was that the one
film
that scrolls up? I played Bionic Commando. Did you play Bionic Commando?
No.
It was a little different. But yeah, I do remember Commando. That was pretty fun. It was just a shooter.
Yeah. How about Friday the 13th?
No, I've heard about that one.
That was
terrible.
Really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of those shooter games, did you ever play Akari Warriors?
Oh, yeah.
That was a pretty good one.
That was fun. But that was another one that, man, you had to be good to get very far in it. It always just seemed like they were made to, especially the arcade one was made to take your quarters. I mean, you're not going to get, a little far, and then it's to continue, put in a quarter.
Sounds like Dragon's Lair.
Yeah. I never played that one. That one I couldn't figure out either.
Did you ever play the arcade version?
Yeah. That's what I'm thinking of. That one didn't make much sense to me.
No, well, especially in hindsight when you figured out it was pretty much, it's not like a live action game you play.
No.
At certain points, you just move the joystick left, right, or up or down, or press the
You had
button.
to, trigger the right cutscene.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. That was some crap. Arcade games I was a little too cheap to play those and never put the time in. You had to have a lot of quarters to do it, to get good at them. And it was
Well, you never hung in any arcade?
I did, yeah. But I never really got good at any single game. Not that I can remember.
So you didn't get to access any kill screens?
No.
Did you ever run into any of those arcade parlor hustlers? The little older kids that took advantage of the younger ones?
I don't think so. Like, what would they do?
Like one time, man, playing track and field, right? Doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And this kid comes up and he's like, I bet you I can beat you on this game. I bet you like a quarter, 50 cents or whatever. And so I'm like, all right, I've been warming up, doing pretty good. So we put in our quarters, start the game, and he takes his pencil out of his pocket. I'm like, that's kind of odd. He puts the pencil over the two buttons because there are alternating buttons, for the left and right leg.
Then he just...
proceeds to use it like a lever and just like, I barely got out of the starting line and he was already at the finish line. So that,
man, but he taught you a neat trick though.
Yeah,
that's what you're supposed to pass on. Like, he had taught you the skills to scam other kids.
Yeah, he definitely became a little more street smart after that. But they started making those games with little plastic pieces over the buttons. So I guess there are a lot of people doing that out there back in the day.
Yeah, I remember they had that. One of the Nintendo joystick or something had that. Like, you could like slow down the game. So you could, do stuff like that. But
did you ever have any peripherals for the Nintendo?
I think that's the only thing I had. I didn't get was it the Power Glove?
Power Glove.
Never that. No, that crap. I didn't have any of that. The little robot.
Yeah. Oh man.
The little robot that'll play again. I don't have a friend.
I remember just coveting that from the people who had that robot and then finally getting a chance to play with it. And I'm like, what?
What did it do?
Barely anything. It just like moved from left, the arms move. Like, it's actually, I guess I should say its waist kind of moved from left to right. And I think it spun some things. But it was a total letdown.
Who'd have thought? Artificial intelligence has not yet been achieved.
And of course, like any other kids, they wound up gaming the system, and they figured out that you could accomplish the same task with the player 2 joystick, and so they circumvented the robot and just used the player 2 joystick.
Yeah, those are the days.
Yeah, but well, I'm glad you got your Super NES so-called classic system, and hope you have a lot of fun with it.
My sisters are coming next week, so maybe we'll relive our childhoods when we would play and fight over it. We'll do. I don't know if we'll be doing that, but
Mom,
yeah, it's my turn. She said it was.
You better give it.
Give it back.
Give it.
It's my turn. You lost your turn.
Yeah, those were good times for sure.
Yep.
Well, I guess on that note, we can go ahead and wrap up the show. But I want to thank you for stopping by again. We almost had a no-show, but hopefully we have given our listeners a little something to listen to get us to the next episode, which hopefully will not suffer from any MIA guests or technical difficulties.
They're going to suffer from technical difficulties.
No.
I think you just have to learn to overcome them, as we have done.
Well, it's kind of tough to overcome a guest who's just completely missing on the show.
You can't overcome that. Yeah, that's a tough one.
Yeah, but we move on and persevere. And now we have episode 5. Instead of Keith Rogers, is now featuring Chris Oliver. So.
And I'm just as good a breakdancer as he is, without a doubt.
It'll probably be our least downloaded and listened to show, but what are you going to do, right?
It's the most. You're saying I'm not a draw? That's ridiculous.
Well, I guess we'll find out. Maybe
I'll tell everybody. I'll tell everyone the secret to get your Super Nintendo.
But just don't promote this episode as much as you did at the last one. I don't want it to be overplayed, over downloaded.
Okay. No problem.
And that's another episode of Second Acts in the Books. I want to thank our special guest today, Chris Oliver, for stepping up to the plate and filling in for our MIA guest today. As always, Mikey Moratini does our music. Make sure to check out his stuff on SoundCloud, especially if you need music for your project. Give Mikey a shot. He does some really good stuff. If you enjoy the show, consider giving us an iTunes rating or review. And get in touch with us on Facebook. We'd love to hear some feedback from you about this show and any other shows as well. Want to give a special shout out today to a podcast out there, our friends at Arcade Attack. Arcade Attack, a retro gaming podcast by retro gamers for everyone. This has been Second Acts with your host Sean Riley, and remember, F. Scott Fitzgerald once wrote, "There are no second acts in American lives, but there are on Second Acts Podcast." See you next time.